Greetings, boys and ghouls. Okay, yeah, we're not doing that. Hey, everybody. Does anybody remember these? Or perhaps these? I was thinking of a subject for a Halloween episode, and I saw this one item, well, a couple of items, and I was like, yeah, man, that'll make a great Halloween episode. I'm going to order those right now. But they don't actually come out until first or second quarter of next year, so kind of takes that off the table. So I thought, why don't we take a look back at some figures some of you might remember. McFarlane's Monsters, Series 1 and 2 from 1997 and 1998 respectively. Like I said, some of you might remember these, and if you are a collector and you are a fan of horror and you haven't heard of these, you might want to take a look at this. We'll run through these, give these a quick overview, and you might find that these are something you'd like to pick up.
It's the battle of the mini-monsters, introducing Frankenstein, Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, and Creature from the Black Lagoon.
The monsters with glow-in-the-dark features.
Frankenstein is in a foul temper. Dracula flies in, fangs bared. Creature surfaces, dripping with rage. Phantom shows his fiendish face. I can't look. Is he ugly? The monster battle rages on. It's a howl.
The monsters with glow-in-the-dark features, each sold separately from Remco.
For lack of a better place to start, I guess we'll go alphabetically on these. Starting with Dracula. As you can see, they're not just action figures, they're like a whole 1/18 scale playset. So that is definitely cool. Hopefully this thing doesn't come apart on me. As you can see, tons of accessories. Nicely sculpted coffin, some elements of the crypt and a graveyard. Even extra little sort of bonus figure in the vampire bat, which I was always a fan of because not only is it just a cool looking little figure, but also because it kind of reminds me of the space vampires. Those creatures from the old Life Force movie. And say what you will about that movie, those things were pretty darn cool. A very cool interpretation of Count Dracula. Long hair, nice protruding fangs. Box is a little bit more smashed up than I would. But yeah, all kinds of interesting accessories with that. Definitely a standout from the line. Next we have the Frankenstein playset, which is also just another really great little set with lots of accessories and great sculpting, great paint. Dr. Frankenstein has elements of his lab and some broken down castle walls kind of integrated in together. The articulation on these was kind of basic, but everything else pretty much made up for that. A kind of traditional, but kind of not interpretation of the Frankenstein monster. Or more traditional than the second series, you'll see what I mean by that. The head with the removable brain. That's just one of those nice little touches that I think we can all appreciate. Limbs are detachable, heads are interchangeable. Yeah, there's a lot of fun little features in these playsets. I have a couple of loose ones that I will showcase here in a little bit. Then you have the Hunchback. This set has a lovely bell tower kind of playset that has that strange catapult feature, utilizing the gargoyle's head as the projectile. So that's pretty cool. You even get a full-size executioner figure with this, which is pretty darn cool. The Hunchback himself, they gave him a more undead-looking face. He's not just a poor fellow with an unfortunate deformity. He's a very scary-looking creature. So that's very cool. And then we have my personal favorite from the original series, the werewolf playset. It comes with a put-together tree and a take-apart man. So that was always pretty cool in a morbid sort of way. But you have a figure that you can dismember to look like he's been attacked by the titular werewolf. Another fine playset. We'll take a closer look at that one. That's one of the loose ones I have. On to Series 2. As you can see, there's been some changes in the packaging. They're more flattened out, so you can see more of the accessories. The quality is just as good, maybe even better in some cases. So let's take a quick run through of these. As you can see, we have a returning Frankenstein's playset. A little bit different this time. Well, quite a bit different this time, actually. There's more of the laboratory in this set. The lab coat wearing individual in the previous series was actually Igor. I said in for the previous Frankenstein set that the Frankenstein monster was a bit more traditional. As you can see, this one is quite a bit of a departure. So the previous Frankenstein's monster was more traditional, comparatively speaking. He wasn't the bolts in the neck Boris Karloff version that you're probably more familiar with, but this one is definitely quite a bit different. As a matter of fact, this one has 2 heads. There's some more mechanical components in the torso area. So yeah, very interesting creature. The doc is really stepping out there. But yeah, as you can see, quite a bit more of the actual lab area is present in this particular version. Again, lots of accessories, some lightning effects even. That's a nice touch. Next we have the Mummy playset. As you can see, just a lot of good stuff going on here. Not only is that a great looking mummy, but you get this secondary figure, this Anubis character, which is always a winner, A-OK in my book. I also like the fact that at first glance it looks kind of like a statue, but when you look at it more closely, you can see that there's like decaying flesh underneath. So that's pretty cool. So you're getting basically 2 mummies for the price of one. And that's a pretty well sculpted sarcophagus. Nice paint on that. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite ones out of that. Next up we have the Phantom of the Opera set. The Phantom himself is pretty cool looking. The secondary figure is lacking articulation in the legs. I think that was the same with the Mummy on the previous set. But that's okay. Kind of makes up for it with the play set. Kind of makes up for all of that. Any lacking articulation in the figures. Yeah, that's a cloth curtain back there. The chandelier, the organ, pipe organ. But anyway, yeah, lots of cool stuff going on there too. Phantom of the Opera, not my favorite classic horror character, but still cool. Still a cool figure and definitely a cool set. And then probably my second favorite of the set, probably be my favorite, except for one particular drawback. As you can probably see by looking at the packaging of the sea creature, lots of cool accessories, nice little extra figure, but you can probably notice a bit of a defect in this particular figure. You might be able to ping it off the bat there. Might be able to work out what the problem is, and we will get into that when I take a look at the loose ones, because this is one of the loose ones sets that I have to show off. But yeah, very cool in every other respect. A nice little spooky seabed there with skulls and bones and all that stuff. So yeah, a nice little overview, and now I've got a couple of loose sets that I will take a closer look at. Stick around for that. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite figure from the entire series. Just a very cool looking werewolf. Love the design. It's got very basic 5-point articulation. A lot of the sculpting, or a lot of the posing is sculpted in, but you had a lot of that with McFarlane figures back in the day. I think you still get that with a lot of McFarlane figures. It doesn't really detract from the figure for me. It just looks too cool. The figure is so cool, I'm willing to overlook that. It's a really good looking figure, and I think it would, on a side note, I think it would scale really well if you were looking for a 1/18 scale Jack Russell the Werewolf from Marvel Comics. I think this figure would scale in well with your other like 1/18 figures, Marvel figures. He'd look really cool next to like your Ghost Rider and your 1/18 Morbius. I think he'd be a nice fit. He'd be large enough and imposing enough in comparison to those figures that he would fit in pretty well, I think. So there's a little suggestion for you. It's also got this neat little background piece, this background playset piece of this nicely sculpted tree, and nicely sculpted tree, and this bit of forest floor with some nice detailing of, like, you know, sticks and stones and chewed on bones and all that good stuff. It's a nice little playset in itself. Then one of the main gimmicks of this set is this poor guy right here. His name is Steve, apparently. Poor hapless Steve, definitely dressed for safety, for all the good it will do him. Steve is a hunter, but in reality he's the werewolf's victim. That's his main function that he serves. He comes with a gun that really doesn't fit in his hand, as you can see here. Nice accessory, but it doesn't really work. And his hat also doesn't fit, but really, who cares about that? The most fun thing about this guy is that he basically pulls apart. He's even got these little jagged bone pieces sticking out. They sculpted little bones when you pull his limbs off. Yeah. Oh, and his head is, I think his head's supposed to come off, but I just broke Steve. I broke the head off more than tore the head off. So I guess more super glue is in order. But anyway, the tree is hollow, so the gimmick there is that you're supposed to be able to stuff the body in the tree, hide your kill inside the tree. So a fun little gimmick in a morbid sort of way. But yeah, as much fun as you can have with that. That wasn't really the thing that sold me on the set. It's just the quality of this werewolf figure. It's just a great looking figure. Definitely my favorite. Okay, we are back with the sea creature. I just figured out what the problem was with the audio on that previous segment, and I'm not going to tell you what it was because it's too embarrassing. Now, I could re-record that bit, but I have things to do. It's Halloween, baby, so sacrifices must be made. Anyway, here we have a strong contender for what might have been my favorite figure, at least. The playset, not so much. We'll get to that in a second. Your sea creature comes with this secondary figured diver. I don't know if he has a name. He's Steve's cousin or something. But he's got a little bit more articulation in the legs. Not a whole lot. Very weird, realistic sort of hair. I don't know why. A bit of a puzzler on that one. Not quite sure what that's about. I believe it might be because they needed him to be bald so the helmet would fit on. Could that be the deciding factor? I don't know. The little diving helmet fits on. The knife goes into the hand like so to try and fend off the attack of the sea creature. That's another little feature of this figure that's pretty cool. This arm, at least, is also removable, detachable. And there's a secondary arm. It's sort of a battle-damaged, wounded arm to look like he's been bitten by the creature. So that's a nice little touch. Pretty cool little figure that can probably have multiple uses in your collection as well. The playset is pretty cool. Kind of enjoy this interesting little murky green, clear plastics, semi-clear plastic to simulate the briny deep. Some planks of what was his boat, little section of a boat, kind of a small boat to be going out hunting sea monsters. But anyway, not sure where the harpoon is. Little steering wheel turns. Nice little accessory though. Some good detailing on that. A little spot for it to fit in your mock water. Some planks underneath. Nice barnacle detailing. The skulls and the bones at the base. On the sandy bottom of the playset, there's even a starfish on your sandy bottom. I'm so sorry. Anyway, yeah, so the playset's all right. The secondary figure is okay. And this right here, like I said, is a great looking figure. Awesome looking Gillman sea creature, take on the creature from the Black Lagoon. But as you can see inside the sealed package, his head had popped off. As far as I know, that's just a defect of that particular figure. Every figure I've ever seen of the sea creature has that happen to it. I actually had to glue this head on twice. I used the cheap super glue the first time around. And it popped right off, and I used some more expensive name brand stuff. The second time around, it hasn't popped off yet, but quite frankly, it looks like it could at any moment. Just no good way to like set it on there. I don't know what it is about how it was sculpted, but it just doesn't want to sit flat, even when you try to glue it back on. So yeah, just a design flaw with this one on an otherwise really cool looking figure. And I'm also very upset because when I glued his head on, some of it must have dribbled down into this arm joint. So I can move it up and down, but I can't. Like this way, but I can't move it up and down the sideways like I can with this one. Articulation's okay, limited, but decent. Most people are probably going to be just putting these on the shelf anyway to display. Even if you wanted to give it to your kids to play with, there's going to be lots of crying when the sea monster's head pops off. Or lots of gluing it back on. You'll go broke buying super glue for this thing. Okay, so there it is, a brief run through. A brief overview of these figures that are now, dare I say it, around 20 years old. I think they still hold up for figures with that many years under their belt. Very nice sculpt. Excellent work on the paint. Not a basketball reference. I think you could find uses for a lot of these figures and the accessories in other capacities in your action figure collection. I think they still hold up pretty well. They're still nice pieces if you want to pick them up. Try and track some of them down. Especially if you are a horror fan. I think they would be a nice addition to your collection. So I hope you enjoyed this obligatory Halloween episode. I'm just kidding. I love Halloween. And it is my treat to make this video for you and for me. So, happy Halloween, everybody. I'm just kidding. I said we weren't doing that. Happy Halloween, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I thank you for watching. And until next time, I will see you.
You talking to me?